Good morning. We are live on a Friday to talk about Friday load boards and why they tend to be a lot down. So stay tuned right after this, and we'll be back and talk about it. Yes. Good morning. Sorry, I almost didn't make it time. I had to bring this beast in. I don't know if you guys can see him. Let's do the solo layout. And then remove that. Hey, come here. The world wants to see you. Fine, be that way. Yes. Good morning. Hope all is well. We are looking at freight. Here we go. Here. Look at you. Look at you. Look at you. There he is. There he is. Oh. I got these weird, smelly liver treats. He loves them. Oh, go. All right. All right. Be gone with you. So, good morning. Hope all is well. It is Friday, December 5th, and it's cold outside. Baby, it's cold outside. It is like in the 20s here, and winter is upon us. Here, I've got evidence. I've got evidence of that. Let's see. Let's put the weather service up here real quick. And there you go. There's some. Let's remove the chat there for a second. You guys would be all right. You guys. Oh no. There we go. Yeah. Let's zoom this in a little bit. Yeah, up there in the normal places, yeah, it's all messed up. And that, but then Virginia and North Carolina are doing their share today. So just be aware if you're traveling in these areas that yeah. And then also you've got Iowa, South Dakota, and Minnesota. So Minnesota, no surprise, right? So, but anyways, Ratman, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a minute. I mean, I've seen your post and everything, but I have not seen you on the tubes here lately. You're probably extremely busy. I liked your post about that. Sounds like a 2026 problem, and that's where I'm at with a lot of things right now. So, but things are well. We are I've got everybody covered today. I do have one truck that might need a load, but there's some issues with the trailer that we might have to address. But other than that, finally had a chance to go live on a Friday. So, but Anyways, we are. So I thought I'd go live, talk about Friday Freight. Now, one of the things that I've seen trending is that Fridays volumes become extremely low. Now, last Friday, it was almost non existent. There was no volumes anywhere, but it was the day after Thanksgiving. So, if you plan on doing this owner operator thing, self dispatch thing, work the spot market thing, by this time next year, have a journal, and you can even do it on your phone, right? Have a journal explaining exactly what your experience was if this was your first Thanksgiving experience. That's what I used to do. I used to keep a journal. Like I would say, okay, Friday was kind of a crap show because blah blah blah. Like just and then that way when it came to the following year, I knew what to expect. Or I can say, wow, last year it was really dead, but this year it's really booming. Now, these predictive sources like Freight Waves and Sonar and DAT and Truck Stop and all these things, they it's weird. They'll say, well, volume's down, but this is going on, and this is going on, but this is going on. And here's my thing on that. You got to be prepared for almost anything, right? If you're learning how to survive in a down market, then you're going to be golden when things turn around. What will you do if things never turn around? So you have to have a plan for that. You have to do the what ifs. You have to do projections. You talk about these big companies, they have pencil pushers that will literally predict or try to predict what's going to happen. Projections, right? A lot of business do projections. Well, you have to have if you want a business plan, if you want to get a loan, you have to have projections. Like, oh, I plan on doing this, this, and this, And trucking is no different. You don't want to be like, it's kind of like if you go swimming, right? You're okay, or you get in a boat. Let's say you're getting a boat, right? And you just get in the boat and you get in the water and you don't have any direction, right? You don't have any expectations. You haven't looked at the weather. You haven't seen what supplies you have. You're just in the boat, right? You're just, oh, I'm on the water. Yay. That's going to be a tougher gig than, okay, let's prepare for the worst, right? Let's get this on the boat. Let's get this on the boat. Let's check the weather. What am I going to do just in case the weather turns? That wasn't predicted, that kind of thing. The more prepared you go into something, the better off you'll be. Now, a lot of people join the spot market not realizing that they're just putting the boat in the water with no rhyme or reason. Right? Okay, just start throwing your fishing pole in different places or your net in different places and hope for the best. No, you gotta know a little bit of what you're getting into. And time again, we see it every time there's a freight boom. A lot of people join the spot market with zero clue on how to do things. And that's what I try to do. I try to help these people like, okay, let's get your bearings, let's get you some supplies and go that way. That's where the fish are at. That's kind of what I try to do for drivers, whether they work here or not, right? So entering the spot market, some people will say it's a losing game, and I disagree. It can be a losing game if you're ill prepared and you are your own worst enemy, because you have a lot of obstacles to overcome. Take yourself out of the equation. And if you're the type of owner operator that doesn't track their numbers and doesn't, pay attention to things, and you're unteachable, you are going to struggle more than the person that's willing to learn and looks at it like a business. And that's essentially the biggest difference that I see that's putting people out of business. We could sit there and say it's the immigrants or it's the cost or it's the government that's putting people out of business. But if you know how to adapt and overcome and learn, you'll figure it out. And a good work ethic is important too. You don't just want to, I'm only going to go from Missouri to Arkansas. That's all I'm going to ever do, ever, ever, ever. Well, I'm limiting myself, take the thousands and thousands of loads out there and I'm narrowing it down to 20. It's kind of like if you open a brick and mortar store and you're like, I'm only going to let 20 people in this store today. That's all I want to do. Or I'm only going to show up for work for 2 hours at lunchtime. That's it. You're not going to stay in business very long. It's the same concept. This is a business. And when you kind of use some examples of brick and mortar businesses and how they operate, then that's kind of one of the things that you can look at and learn from. So now, and I agree with this, right? However, too much information can create fear and thus prevent gains. That is absolutely true. And I see it all the time with drivers. They're overwhelmed and they have paralysis by analysis, right? Now, if you guys don't know, Ratman Roan's a guy that started his business in his garage and is now now he has a multi-million-dollar business. So this guy knows what he's talking about. And I'm guilty of that at times as well, analysis by paralysis. And so trying to find the balance, right? Okay, we got to go, but do it carefully. So, and there's a lot of things that I held back on. Like there was a time where I was looking at getting my own authority, and looking back, I don't regret not doing it. Because of what this landscape looks like now, right? And I've got a pretty good home here at Like Trucking, and I still get a lot of the same freedoms that I did as an owner operator. So it's a good balance, right? Because as I've gotten older, family and being present is more important than just making money. Especially with the way that trucking is a 24/7 thing. You're thinking about it 24/7. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you're thinking about it 24/7. And the analysis by paralysis is it's a thing. It's something to be aware of. So to me, finding the balance, right? I've always been the middle guy. I've always been, let's find balance, right? And that's how I did my operation. If I had to work harder, I did. If I could kick it back a notch so I could spend time with my family, I did. And at the end of the day, I love the experience that I had. And now it's my turn to help others with their experiences. So, just kind of putting that out there. So, but I appreciate Ratman. He's been a good friend to me. I miss the times that he come into town and we get Mexican food, but he's traveling worldwide now. Hey, did you see on my Facebook, Ratman, the Lamborghini I was looking at? It's on my page. So let's do some. So you'll have to forgive me. I don't memorize everybody's handles, so I'm just going by what I see on the screen. So Pork Chop, what's up? Ratman, of course. Jerome Drones, good morning. My name is Nobody. Good morning. TJ, what's up? When the temp drops below 30, Dallas closes. I wish. Hooli, what's up, Hool? That one I remember. Even though it's 2 p.m. here in Sweden, slacker. TJ says, yeah, Snorelord did that. I liked it when he would share some of his experiences. You want to be liked? Good morning from Georgia. It's cold outside. It is. It's cold outside everywhere. Ratman did it without high-speed chicken feed too, which makes it even more like winning. Moet, what's up? Good morning. Does anyone have a Roth IRA and how does it work? I have one, and what you do is you find a person that has a lot more knowledge than somebody on some random dude on YouTube. All right, you have a good weekend as well, my friend. And if I don't speak to you between now and then, have a Merry Christmas. Yes, we're saying Merry Christmas now. There we go. So, anyways, let's check volumes. Now, I use 123 load board, and I also use DAT, and I also use the myriad of different broker load boards because now instead of 1 or 2 or 3 sources, I have 15 sources and beyond, right? I wish I had the echo thing. And so let's crack open our coffee. We got our, here, let's do there's my endorsement there. I don't even know if I have these in stock. Last time I looked at Teespring, it was kind of a crap show. But let's put that over here. So also, I can't say too much yet, but there are plans for the Mid-America Truck Show in the world of like trucking. And so that's all I'm going to say. It's a little teaser. So if you plan on going to the Mid-America Truck Show, we're pretty sure that Jeff and I are going to be there. So, all right. Moa, it's gardening. Your money is the seed. Plant it, watch it grow. That's true. All right. So, let's share the screen. Move at the stage. There we go. All right. So, I promote 123 load board. It's got great tools. I love the load availability map. It allows me to kind of get an overview of different lanes with the market rates. You can put in 2 destinations, look at the rates. You can see the tolls, you can see the fuel, and you can see the volumes. All right. And you can see the volatility of the market, and you can also see the map. The other one is the profit calculator. Put your toll costs in there. This kind of gives you everything. And then the mileage calculator, which will help calculate your tolls. I demonstrated this on Wednesday. Basically, you put, let's do Springfield, Missouri to Reading, Pennsylvania. If you want to go to PA because you like self-abuse, there you go. Gives you the zip code to zip code, and then it has your IFTA report right here. 288 in tolls, so pretty expensive trip. Your estimated fuel costs, and then dispatch fee. You can call that like let's say you're at an 80-20 company like trucking. You can put 20% here, and then it shows your profit, and then you got this will hook up to either PC Miler or Google Maps. So that's a great tool that I use. And then the hot market map is another one I like. So can I take my dog to the No, we're not taking the dog to Matt's. It's yeah, that would be too much. He's not the star of my show yet. Although I am trying to, it has increased my YouTube videos on the small channel, Snorelord OG channel. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. I need some more time there so I can monetize that channel because I want to be rich by doing YouTube. I know, that's dumb. That's dumb, isn't it? Now, what you'll notice with these hot market maps is when a state kind of wakes up, like Colorado and Oregon, a little bit easier to get out of. Now, green doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a killer rate out of there, but You can kind of look at things. If I had a dog in my own semi, can I take dog? Yeah, actually, you can. You can stroke Snorelord's beard. Pretend no one. There's only one person allowed to stroke my beard. Chief Freight. Okay, I'm in long term. Just trying to see who's actually doing it. All right, so I do have an IRA, but I haven't really put anything in it. What it was when I quit this place that did the whole shebang, I switched it to an IRA. So once I get a few things paid down, the house will be paid off by next year, then we'll probably start throwing more stuff at that. So anyways, let's stay on topic here. Come on. Feels like things are quieter this year. Our Black Friday wasn't even a fizzle. Yeah, it was the same here. Things are quieter. I talked about this on Wednesday about consumer confidence, and it's down. Right, people are holding on tight. All this. Eventually, when things get more and more expensive, like groceries and gasoline and all this other stuff, eventually people kick back. Um, there's quite a few purchases I have not done that I would have normally done simply because we're trying to save our money, and we're just and plus I'm over the whole retail thing. Like there's really the things that I want are going to be practical. Like for example, I would like to get a Focusrite interface so I can start doing some I could easily put the drum machine and some guitar into BandLab, something like that, and then also and just make soundtracks for people's videos if they wanted that, or background music if I wanted to do that, But I also want to record some stuff as well for myself. I've put that purchase off until after Christmas. We desperately need new furniture. Putting that off until after Christmas. So yeah, the retail. I'm sure I'm not the only one in that boat, right? So okay, so put out there which state you want to see. Let's see what volumes look like in Ohio. Let's see what outbound looks like. And let's sort this by pickup date. Let's give an accurate description of what's going on Friday. Akron to San Jose, Florida, Virginia, McDonough, Georgia. A lot of not posted rates. So this is another trend. If you're looking for stuff for today, you're not going to see a whole lot of posted rates in some areas, right? Because they want you to make the price, because they know, the brokers know that most drivers don't know their numbers. And they also know that most of them don't pay attention to the average rates or whatever. So if you come in really high than what the lane usually pays, they know that you don't know what you're doing. If you too high, I'm talking double, it's a $1,500 lane and you're asking for $2,800 or $3,000, they're going to hang up on you. Okay. But if it's a 1,500 lane and you go, I'll do it for 900, then they're like, I'm going to keep this person's number and call them every time I need to move this load, so I don't ever have to pay 1,500 for this thing, right? That is the name of the game in the spot market. So these tools are important. So just because there's no posted rate, I see it as a good sign, because what they want you to do is for you to set the anchor first. So when it comes to negotiation, try not to do that. Or if you do that, know your number, right? It's like this lane is normally paying about $678, but you're probably going to be on this load all weekend. Is this freeze protect? That's important to know. What's the weather going to be like in Cyrus or in Greenfield, Indiana, come Monday? Is it going to be tough to get out of there because there's a snowstorm coming through or whatever? So all these things come into play. And so if you don't know what you're doing, this can be very daunting. It can be very challenging. Finally, it posted right here. We got Canton, Ohio to Norfolk, Virginia. kind of high. Well, let's see. Let's see if it's high or not. Nope, it's kind of low. So this is one that you look at the weather and say, okay, if I want to deal with that, and then also use that to your advantage. The more clue you have, the more information you have, the more of a better decision you can make, right? Versus the guy that's going to take this for the posted rate and then not care about what the weather's doing because they didn't look at, and that's where a lot of these pileups happen. These people get in situations that are like, hey, I got to get there, and um, the weather just took a dump, right? And usually, if you see a spike in rates going somewhere, it's because of the weather. A lot of times, like if you see really incredibly good rates going to Florida, even more than normal, make sure there's no hurricane coming. Things like that. Cincinnati and Morrisville, PA. That's $2.88 a mile. That's almost $3 a mile. Let's see what this is. They're still lower than what it normally does. This normal rate is around 342. 310 to 342. So they're a little low, but then why do you got to add some money on this? Number one, it's 44.5, so your fuel mileage is going to suck. And you got almost $400 in tolls. So, and you're going to sit on it all weekend. So you got to make sure it's not freeze protect. So, I mean, you just, these are the things I've had to learn the hard way over time, right? So, the new AI band, Snorelord and the 123 low port servers. You're funny. I got 1K on a $600 lane this week, Florida intrastate. Yep. Yeah, the Florida intrastate is actually doing pretty good. Georgia to Florida is doing extremely well right now. Why is that? Well, let's check it out. So if we go to DAT, let's check volumes here. Let's refresh this. 2,880 going in and 894 coming out. So if we go to search loads, let's put Atlanta, Georgia. Let's take out the weight limit here. And we'll do Miami. But we'll do a big radius so we get most of Florida here. So we'll do 450. Or we could just do this. Let me backtrack here. FL. 276 loads. RXO's got a Lawrenceville, Georgia to Palm Harbor, Florida, $3,000, $6 a mile. So if we sort this by the highest rate, which it already was, so 3,000, 2,200, 2,200. So what you do is you scroll down and look for the 500-mile runs. Here we go, $1,800 for making to Miami, 587 miles. And I've seen this exact run, 2 drops in Miami. I know what this is. I've seen this go for 22, 23, 2,400. Personally, Raycons that I've put in. See, you can be aggressive with this. 2 stops in Miami over a weekend. Yeah, get aggressive with your pricing, right? Get aggressive with it. Now, one of the cool things, let's go back to 1, 2, 3. Let's do the market rates. Let's do Atlanta, Georgia to Miami. They're showing a little bit lower, but look at the range here. Okay, 1594 to as high as 3114. Right? Now, check this out. There's 8 loads going to Miami on the 123 low board, 180 going anywhere out of Atlanta. But if you look at this, Miami back to Atlanta, there's only 2. So let's view those loads. 76 cents a mile, 98 cents a mile. You do what you want, but you're better off just going right back up north and grabbing something else, right? But that's the great thing about this tool. So now let's say you don't know what pricing. Let's say you're completely new, you don't realize that Miami sucks to get out of, right? So you do a switch, a RU, and there's your average rates going from Miami back to Atlanta. Now Miami is pretty far south, obviously, and the Florida I like is Orlando, Tampa. That way you're not, and if you deadhead out of, if you grab a load out of Florida, do not deadhead south for it. Like, don't be in Jacksonville and then deadhead south to the Everglades to pick up sugar. Don't do that. With the hit you take, you might as well just deadhead up to Atlanta or Savannah, right? But this is also a volatile market as well. So, but just kind of know, right? All right, so let's go back to DAT real quick. Let's look at the dashboard. Let's see what volumes are looking like today. 840 out of Arkansas. California has finally got more out than in, so that's good. It was upside down for a minute, so that means they're not going to pay as much to go in as they have been. Colorado's got a pretty high number. Usually this is in the 300s. They're at 6. Florida's got 3,005 going in and 936 out. Now that changed. That was at that jumped up a little bit. I think it was 800 when we first logged in. Correct me if I'm wrong. Georgia's got more in than out. So it might be tougher to get it. So you're going to get a little bit better rate going into Georgia, and you're going to get it's going to be tougher to get a good rate coming out. Unless you're going into Florida. Illinois, so the volumes look pretty good for this Friday. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I was wrong. Because I know that the last few Fridays, man, it's just like half dead. Now, come noon, these numbers are going to be almost non-existent. I will tell you that. After 12, it's dead. It's tough to book a load. You're hoping for the guy that just posted a load that something that has to pick up this afternoon. And you can kind of tell because a lot of these will have open windows, but they're called a work-in, and then they'll get antsy if you say that, oh, I'll be there in 2 hours. They'd rather have you there in 10 minutes, right? So let's go to Van and let's look at some different areas here. Let's look at Georgia. Let's see what's coming out. Let's sort this by highest rate. Let's see where the long haul's going and what it's paying. $5,000 to go to Washington, California. Yeah, see, they're paying $1.68 to go to California. That's kind of high for California, actually. Usually it's in the $1.40s, $1.30s, $1.20s, $1.10s, like here. Athens to Ontario, $1.17 a mile. Now, notice this Grovetown, Marion, Kansas, $2.03 a mile. That's a really good rate. However, looks can be deceiving. So you have to click on the load and realize it's a multiple stop load. This is my load. It's West Plains, Missouri, Adrian, Missouri, Emporia, Kansas, Marion, Kansas. That puts us in the Wichita market. So not bad, right? They're at 2350. The average is between 20 and 21. But it's not really 203 a mile. You take that 2350. Let's say we don't know how to negotiate. So we take it for that 2350, right? It says the actual miles there. 2350 divided by 1116. Actually, it puts it at 210 a mile. Huh. But how many days, right? If you can get that, so you can get the West Plains by Monday. That's not a problem. So you could probably get these all off by Tuesday. You would want to do West Plains and Adrian on Monday, and then on Tuesday get the last two. That's what I would do with this load. And so that's 2350 divided by two running days, not the weekend. That's 1175 a day. That's a pretty good rate coming out of Georgia. Now, if you hustle, you can probably get West Plains done on Saturday, depending on what time this picks up, because some John dealerships are open on Saturday. But if you take the 2350 and divide it by 4 to count the weekend, you're at 587 a day. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. And you won't get a restart under this load. But it is light and it's easy. So anything over $2 a mile, it's either multiple stop, drop trailer, or it's going northeast, or it's going Florida. Here we go. Forest Park, Georgia to Miami, $1,800 for 643 miles. Here's Cordell to North Kansas City. This ain't bad. Oh, it's hazmat. That's why it's not bad, right? Or it's hazmat. I forgot to mention that. Some, not all those dealerships are open on Saturday. Yeah, that's true. I think the one by me is not open on. Well, maybe it is open on Saturday, like till noon. I think something like that. But I do. I mean, I've made a lot of money with those loads. Now here's a losing load, right? Here's 1650 to go to North Dakota. Raycheck's got this at 2846. So you have to ask yourself, what justifies this rate? Because that is way, way, way below. And so you look at this and you're like, they've set the anchor, and someone who's going to highball them, they don't even want you calling, right? This is a deterrent to make sure that you don't come in asking for $3,000 on this thing. And when you're looking at 15 different load sources, and there's so much better freight out there, you just filter this stuff. I just filter this. I don't even pay attention, right? Now, if I had to absolutely get a truck to Fargo, North Dakota, then I would attempt, and then and see what the pricing's all about. It's like, yeah, that puts the rates really low, and there's some storm warnings going on up there. They don't have to know you live up there. or that you're trying to get up there. But there's probably better options to get to Fargo, North Dakota, right? And never reveal that you're trying to get there. You absolutely have to be there, right? Never reveal that. It's kind of like when you go to a yard sale and you see something for a good price. Don't sit there and say, "I really need this. Can you take $5 for it?" Don't do that. Opinion. That is my opinion, right? $1.60 go to Texas. So I mean, Georgia, it's kind of all over the place. If you hate the Northeast and you want to stay above $2 a mile, you're going to have a tough time coming out of Georgia. But if you got 250 going in and you get $1.80 coming out, it balances out. It's something that a lot of drivers don't understand. You can't just focus on the one load. Let's look at this Jess up to Belton. This is probably going the Chewy up there, which they ain't too bad. They're not like the Chewy in Vandalia. 35,000 pounds, so the perfect weight, not too light, not too heavy. And this don't pick up till Tuesday, though, and delivers Thursday. It's still below my cost per day, though. I got my cost per day set at 318 a day, which is low. That's probably not a realistic number anymore. Now, this is a hot shot load, Woodstock, Georgia, and Missoula, Montana, for 67 cents a mile. If we did let's say this was on Friday, if we did the Belton one, I would want it to probably get up a little bit. At least get this sucker up to $1.80 a mile. Or if it's a 2-day run, well, it'd be a weekend, so probably no lower than 17. But if I had to absolutely get to Missouri, I would just take what I can get them up to, unless there were other options. SST, what's up? Chief Freight says the good thing about being leased to a company is the MC is probably not based where you live. Brokers won't know you're trying to get home. That is correct. Now, if I call from a 417 area code and I'm looking at a load going into Springfield, they might put 2 and 2 together, but most brokers are so busy they're not going to see that. They're not going to put 2 and 2 together. All right, let's take Georgia out. Let's look at Illinois. Let's put up by pickup date 2100 to go to King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Let's take a look at that one. Now, if I do go into Pennsylvania, obviously you got the tolls to worry about, but also I want to be kind of more Western PA so I can deadhead to Ohio. But this is going deep. You got to go to Maryland, then PA. So multi-stop, roll paper. So your fuel mileage is going to be horrible. Ready at 5 p.m. So you're playing with fire. If you get there and like, oh, that load was booked, blah, 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 or, something like that, then now you're empty Friday at 5 o'clock and trying to find a load. Now, being in Illinois, your odds are going to be a lot better. But look at my cost per day. This is still below my cheap cost per day at their posted rate. There's a huge range on this, 21 to 25. And then you also got to consider the weather if the weather's going to go nuts up there. $1.58 to go from Bolingbrook to Davenport. This is a travesty. Look at that. They're at 1900, and they've posted a couple of things like this. There's no way that loads. You know, if you call them and say this is all we got in it, then just know that this brokerage is going to go out of business. Yeah, that's horrible. I won't even give this time. Like, I just won't even deal with this. And that's by design. That they don't want a person that knows what they're doing to even book this. Let's go back to that. They want you to put like, okay, I'll do this for I'll do this for 25 and think that you won, but they're saving $1,000 of what this normally goes by. Meanwhile, you got them up $600. So you feel like you're a winner, but you're not. Cheap Freight says, I gave my MC before, and the broker says, heading home for the weekend. Yeah, I bet. So some pay attention. The smart ones pay attention, right? $206 to go to Houston. Not bad. $268 to go Atlanta. You make more money doing this Chicago to Atlanta than that Florida run for less miles, and you're in a better spot than Davenport. And what's the average on that one? 22. So they're low too. They're all going to be low. Post at 8:10 a.m. on 12/5. Check pickup date for load dates. So this is hot and fresh right here. And that's kind of the name of the game. You know, in the first thing in the morning, that's why I've been live as much. First thing in the morning, everything's hot and fresh. You got to grab it. And you especially see that on Mondays, because Mondays loads are flying off the shelf faster than you can call. And because everybody's trying to get out of the house, everybody's trying to get to a certain place, everybody's recovering from the weekend, you know, and so there's a striking, I call it the striking hour, because there's been times where if I don't have something booked by noon, it's a wrap. I'm sorting through load after load after load after email after email after everything, just to find that one chance that somebody fell off a load or something popped up at the last minute or something just got posted. That's been the MO on Fridays, especially. Or if you got a driver that doesn't run nights and they don't empty out till 3 p.m., then you might as well just start looking for the next day, because everything that is hot and fresh right there is something that picks up at 5 p.m. It's got to be 500, 600 miles the next morning. That's how a lot of the Georgia, Florida stuff is. Picks up at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., delivers at 8 a.m. the next morning, 580 something miles. Getting killer money, and then rinse and repeat. That's what these guys are doing. Here's 446 a mile, Chicago to Toledo. Associated Logistics Group. I don't think I've heard of them. Yeah, they haven't posted all the details, but this is a hot lane right now. The only downside is probably doesn't deliver till Monday. Yep. But if you live in Toledo, this would be a good load if it's not freeze protect, right? What's the tolls on this? $54 in tolls. So a lot of non-posted rates. Now here's Decatur, Illinois to Gurnee, Nebraska, best logistics. They're way below, but this is a good paying lane, but you're low, no empty truck. So That means that this has to be picked up now. They don't want somebody to call and say, yeah, I could be there in 2 hours. They want somebody close by, empty now, that's not under a load, waiting on a receiver to empty them. I've been seeing a lot of this lately too, a lot more than normal. An earlier Snorelord gets the worm. Yeah. And the click and go broker load boards are the same way. Like some of the best Uber loads I've ever booked was like at 4 and 5 in the morning on something that had to be picked up at 7, 8 a.m. Same thing with C8. Same, even JB Hunt. You can catch JB Hunt and get them above the average. You know, here's the thing: when you do this for so long, you can kind of look at a low board and see, okay, that person needs to get this move because they priced it accordingly, or it's got something funky to it. You know, like hazmat, multiple SOP, you know, too many days, drop trailer, whatever. It's kind of like cruising Facebook Marketplace for a used car. If you see a really wow, this like yeah, I was looking earlier. There's this Ford Ranger for only $2,000. I'm like, sweet. So I look at the pictures. It's a standard. My wife wants to learn how to drive a standard. I'm like, oh, this is great. I look in the comments. It don't work. The engine's blown. Or you see it's got no title, or you need to pick it up with the tow truck. It doesn't run. That kind of thing. I don't have. So it's the same thing. If you see something that's too good to be true, prepare to be disappointed when you call on it. Don't get all excited, because if it's a really great paying load and it's a one and done and there's no other things attached to it, that load's going to be gone like that. The person that saw it first is going to get it. So if you see a load it's an hour old and it's a really good rate and there's nothing in the comments, that load is still there for a reason, either because they didn't take the posting down, or all right, let's take a look at Wisconsin. Look at outbound here. $1.20 go to California. And let's post this by pickup date. Here's 311 to go to Wisconsin to Hazleton, PA. 30 minutes ago. They're above the average. Ready now. That literally just proves what I was just saying. Ready now. Let's go. When you see ready now, it's go time. They don't want somebody that's 3 hours away that might get empty by noon. They don't want that. They want this picked up now. And be warned that when let's say I book this load, just know that I'm going to get a ton of emails and phone calls asking if the driver's picked up yet, all this other jazz, because they're nervous about it. See what the tolls is. 184, $185 in tolls. I do have my dispatch fee in here. Well, they call it dispatch fee, but you can call it your percentage. 433 is my cost per day on this. Oh, I did up my cost per day, 433. I don't know why I thought it was 3, but Mr. DIY Semi, morning sunshine. I haven't talked to you in a minute. That usually means that you are up to your eyeballs in a bunch of stuff. And we're looking at your home state here out of Van. Let's take a look at this one. Grand Prairie. This puts you in the Dallas market, 244 a mile, $2,200. Let's see what's wrong with it. Actually, it's about the average. 22,000 pounds. Ready now. So it's possible that Seal Transportation got the shipper and everything's like been dumped on their desk all of a sudden, and now they got to get these moved, and they got to go above average just to get these out of the way, because Wisconsin is a more competitive market than, let's say, if you're in Miami, Florida, right? This would be a good low because I can get out of Dallas no problem. If there wasn't some BS, like it's a drop trailer or doesn't deliver till Wednesday or some crap like that instead of Monday. Like I would see this would be my load right here. I would take this load, take it to the house, and then Sunday morning leave out for Grand Prairie and be good to go. And if it's a receiver, I think it is, then you can spend the night there. And see, knowing that is important, right? That's why I always ask for the customer. Well, not always, but I try to ask for the customer names if they'll give it to me, because, like, let's say that this is a 6 a.m. appointment delivery time, right? That would be tough because you got to park outside of Dallas, and then you'd have to be in there early and hope that you don't hit rush hour. Whereas if I could spend the night at the receiver, then I bypass all of that and actually shave time off my clock, because now I got a full 14 minus the unload and pre-trip to be able to work with the next day. See, clock management is also very important in this game. All these carriers that are removing the signs off their doors and changing them, or these carriers that are unplugging their ELDs or using personal conveyance wrong, that they don't know how to be efficient with their time. That's cheating, right? But if you're completely legal, you can still be above the curve if you're efficient with your time. Keep the left door closed. Pretty high rate going to Virginia. We all know why. DeForest, Wisconsin, Mentor, Ohio. That's a shorty, but should give you about $1,600. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that there's nothing going southeast right now. It's all Texas or Midwest with some West Coast, but nothing really going southeast. So if you're trying to get to Florida from Wisconsin, that might be more of a challenge. So, all right, let's go back to the map and let's go to flatbed. It's all southeast and northwest. Right? Yep. That was exactly right. Your highest volumes is Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia on your outbound. There's even quite a bit of outbound out of Florida. Florida's pretty even on all three. They got 469 outbound, 423 intrastate, 461 inbound. See what kind of flatbed freight we're getting out of Florida. Let's sort this by highest rate. Look like van rates going everywhere. Panama City to Albany, Wisconsin. Of course, Wisconsin's red on this map, so you want to be careful about that one. So just like anything else, all the highest paying stuff's going to the Northeast or to a state that's red that doesn't have a lot of outbound volume. But you're still looking at a lot of stuff under $2 a mile. Let's see, Michigan. Let's look at Michigan. Michigan's green. So is Illinois and Ohio. So this might be a good area to go. So maybe Florida and back to the Midwest and back. Here's 3,500 to go from Michigan to El Paso, Texas. 250 a mile to go to Montana. They're lower. But see, the same rules apply. Like, okay, they're at 3,150. Rate Check's got this at 35. So they're still lower than what it normally goes for. Now, here's one you could be aggressive with. Ludington, Michigan to Long Island. You're looking at $225 in tolls. Getting out of there is going to be a bit of a bear. Well, there's 127 loads going from Long Island to anywhere, so not bad. But you're dealing with Long Island. Do you want to deal with that? If you know the area, cool. If not, then you be like, nope. But don't be afraid to be aggressive with this one either. Right? They're at 25. Normally it's around 22. I would still be aggressive with it. Hi there, Crystal. How's it going? Good to see you. So, all right, let's take a look at reefer. Refrigerated freight. It's all over the place. Very volatile right now. See where your highest outbounds are. Illinois, of course. Pennsylvania's got a lot of outbound. There's a lot of freeze protect going on too right now. Yeah, it looks like Illinois is your best market. Wisconsin's not bad. Missouri could be better. New York's got quite a bit outbound. So does PA. So basically, these upper states here are not doing too bad. So, all righty. Well, if you like what you see on this 123 low board, 48065 is my code. Use it, and you can get it for 30 days free trial. If you want to support the channel, there's all the stuff there on that annoying ticker tape thing. And I appreciate everybody that's a member. I appreciate everybody that is subscribed and tuned in on these few times that I've been live. And we're going to try to be better about our consistency, but I can only do what I can only do. So with that being said, strength for today over tomorrow. And have a great weekend. Hopefully it's profitable for you and or you get some much needed rest. So peace out. Later.